The coronavirus pandemic has forced many camps around the country to cancel their summer 2020 season. And while the ones that are actually trying to reopen find themselves really trying to navigate these logistical hoops, and it's different from state to state, county to county. So we want to bring in Mitch Reiter. Mitch, you are the director of Camp Towanda in Pennsylvania. You guys have decided to cancel camp this year, which I know must have been a pretty tough decision. Tell me kind of like what went into the thought process, why you decided to pull the plug. I have a daughter who signed up for camp. That camp is still kind of crossing their fingers and hoping that in Pennsylvania the governor somehow changes his mind, but you decided to call it now.
Yeah, I did, Anne-Marie. Thank you. We put a lot of thought in it, and we talked with a lot of experts and other camp directors and from across the country and in our region with the American Camp Association, with the CDC. And there's a lot to manage in a regular summer. You really have to have all your pieces and ducks in order and be prepared for that. And that's how we operate, as I said, in normal summer. And in a normal summer, you need to be prepared for things like poison ivy and chicken pox and homesickness and other emotional challenges, even severe weather. And we know what to expect with that. And we're always prepared for that. So we thought about all that stuff. And then I think this situation is just larger than any of that. And it goes really beyond finance and socialization issues. There's so many unknowns for me, and it's still evolving, as you know. And therefore, as an independently owned and operated camp, we weren't confident in being able to manage the program. I think it goes beyond creating a bubble, because that would be the goal. And camp, of course, would be the perfect place for kids this summer. But I felt that we could not really create a bubble. It would be broken as soon as you had to send someone to the hospital for an X-ray, or that the local workers who come in and are part of our support staff, we really couldn't monitor that correctly. And then you think about the normal anxiety and adjustment situations that new campers and new counselors have in a normal year. Not to be able to really get close to people, figuratively and literally, would be challenging. And our counselors, who are college kids, they don't even know what their college plans are for next semester. So there's a lot that went into it. And when for a day or a week or two, it might be okay. But our overnight residential camp, we're a 7-week program. And even if we reduced it to 5 weeks, that's a lot. That's a lot to ask of everyone to stay on task. Counselors don't go off on their night off or their day off. So, I mean, it's tough. Even the food suppliers told me no guarantees. So
wow.
I don't think there was much choice. And of course, the county I'm in Pennsylvania is still yellow, which means, I believe it means, if I keep up with it right, that we could have limited groups of 25. Our mess hall, we eat hundreds of people shoulder to shoulder. So we didn't really have to work out those crazy logistics. I could go on and
Mitch,
on.
I'm curious. Yeah, and I'm curious, actually, what were you hearing from parents before you made the decision, and what have you heard subsequent to your decision?
Yeah, well, we have a really wonderful relationship with the parents who send their kids to our camp. A camp like ours is a giant family. They've been very supportive. I know they were telling their kids, because the kids kept asking, are we going to go to camp? Are we going to camp? And basically, they told their kids, if Mitch and Stephanie, my wife, decide that they can manage it, then you're going to go. If they don't, you're not. You can see some of our happy campers right there. And when we made the announcement, and we made it through a personal video message that, by the way, has been seen over 22,000 times, which is incredible. the message was really well received. The outpouring of love and support and empathy uh, was beyond anything I can imagine. And we've told the parents that we're gonna uh, refund their money if they would like it refunded, or they could roll it over to next year. And right now, it looks like about 95% of the people have given us the okay to roll it over for next year, which of course is very helpful at this point. And we're in the middle of financing details to get us through. You're looking at our video message that we sent to the parents last week. It was really quite emotional for everybody in this giant family, from our little 7-year-olds right on up to alumni that span decades here.
Yeah, I can only
Really,
imagine. I know how much kids really look forward to these sort of camps, especially, after spending a couple of months of not being able to see their friends and not being able to play and stuff like that. So you mentioned that many of your parents are willing just to roll it over to next year, which is great news. But I wonder, we've been talking a lot about how this pandemic is going to change us, whether more people will be working from home, or what the permanent differences are going to look like. Do you foresee some permanent differences in the way that you run camp next summer?
Yes, I would predict that we're going to. Of course, fortunately, right now I have about 13 months to figure that out and get educated on it. I imagine our infirmary, our health center, will need to be set up differently, and possibly even our mess hall dining room. Maybe the structure in the bunks, and even the way kids are transported to camp. We have kids that fly here, they take the bus. So there's a lot to be considered. Between now and then, we'll be involved with our colleagues and the American Camp Association, figuring that all out. And in between, we've created virtual camp to keep everyone engaged and connected. The age groups, we've done Zoom calls with them, and we plan on doing that some more. We've had some virtual campfires and activities that allow the kids to see each other. And we're right now in the midst of putting that all together and really creating something that will keep us together as our camp family until we get to next year. The slogan the kids always used was, they live 10 for 2, meaning 10 months for the 2 months at camp. Well, we've changed that to 22 months for 2 in 21. So,
Mitch,
Mitch,
I think the virtual
love...
idea is actually a really good option, and I'll tell you why. Because as I'm trying to figure out what to do, and the camp that my kid was in was not a sleepaway camp. They're, like I mentioned, are sort of crossing their fingers, so we don't know what their plan is. But I've been scouring the internet for options, and a lot of camps are offering these virtual alternatives. And what it really has done for me is open up a whole new window to camps that I didn't consider as options before. Maybe camps that were in nearby states that I could easily drive to, but I just never really thought about it. And so now it's kind of, in a way, I think it might be a really good marketing thing for you guys to kind of let other people know the type of environment, family environment that you're building, and you're not letting that go by the wayside,
Yeah, a lot of people don't really understand the value and benefits of camp. Camp is really continuing education, but not the stuff you learn at school or at home. You have a bad day at school, you get to go home and chill out in your room, or at home, maybe your folks are helping you figure out every problem. Here at camp, it's a healthy, independent learning where you learn to get out of your comfort zone a little bit in a safe way, try new things, maybe the climbing wall, maybe go water skiing, whatever it might be. And the support there and the camaraderie is amazing. And in a normal year, it's an unplugged environment, probably the only unplugged environment left, where the kids leave their cell phones, they check them in when they show up, and they get it with the battery drained on the ride home. This summer it's a little different. We're staying, we're staying Camp Connect.
That's great.
And the most amazing thing I found with cell phones now, even our 15-year-old girls, they get off the bus, their thumbs are still twitching because we took away their phones, and 10 days into the summer, I will say to them, hey, girls, who wants their phone back? And they're like, Mitch, it doesn't belong here. We feel cleansed. We love not having the pressure.
That's great.
And,
I love it.
I mean, that's the value of camp right there. Your kids get to be.
I got to tell you, Mitch, listening to you and Anne-Marie talking about this, it just, I've got FOMO, right? Because when I was a kid growing up, ever since I read There's a Bat in Bunk 5 by Paula Danziger, when I was 8 or 9 years old, I wanted to go to camp. And my mom was a single mom, so we couldn't afford it. And then when I found out that your camp, Camp Towanda, was also the model for Wet Hot American Summer, I'm even more FOMOing. It sounds like a wonderful place, the videos that we've been showing. You sound like an amazing individual as well. I'm really sorry that you're not going to be able to welcome the campers this year, but it sounds like you do have a plan, and hopefully when this is all over, we'll bring you back on to talk about what you've learned and what you're able to do going forward. Thank you, Mitch. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It would be my pleasure. Thanks a lot.